So today you guys are at the Building and Instructional Design Sandbox and Faculty Development Portal in Canvas. We are all from the University of North Florida. That's Jacksonville, Florida, northeast part of Florida, if you don't know where Jacksonville is. My name's Justin Lerman. We're just going to go ahead and introduce ourselves here. I'm the coordinator of online learning training, so I do a lot of training for faculties at our university. I do some instructional design. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi guys, I'm Allison Archer. I was formerly in secondary education and now I'm an instructional designer.
Well, there's a very similar story for me as well, and Rozy. My name's Megan Bracewell. I'm currently an instructional designer as well, and taught middle school for 6 years before making the transition to UNF.
I'm Rozy Parlette. I also was a teacher. I taught elementary school for about 7 years, and I also worked as an administrator for a charter school in New York City.
Fantastic. Now we're going to get right into the presentation and not waste any more of your time. So on the docket today, thinking outside the course box, how can we use Canvas as not for just courses, right? And we're going to talk a lot about that today. Forging solutions. So we turned to Canvas because we had these problems and we thought Canvas was going to be able to solve those problems, and we're going to discuss a lot of those today. And exploring the ID Team Sandbox and teaching online faculty development portals. So we're actually going to bring up the Canvas courses today so you can see exactly what we're doing, how we're using it. And we even have them available online, so you'll be able to check them out on your own. And we have a presentation right down there. So if you guys really love this presentation, you want to share it with everybody, feel free to. I think Megan is going to go ahead and start us off. Of course we can. It'll be at the end too, but yeah. I'd get it now because it's a pretty hot presentation. Yeah. Cool.
All right, so as Justin mentioned, there were some issues, some problems that we were having on campus that we needed to find a resolution to. And of course, Canvas is a great tool to accomplish meeting some of those needs. The first of which, especially for our ID team, is to have a location where we can emphasize project management. And we do utilize Google Drive a lot in creating spreadsheets and Google Docs where we update the information and we delegate tasks. But we also needed a place to compile those documents and essentially have a centralized location for a collaborative workspace. Now, additionally, we needed a location where we could maintain, update, and store important resources, not just for faculty development and faculty-driven projects, but also for our own team. So as Rozy will show you later in our ID Team Sandbox, you'll see where a new hire to our team could come into this location and would be able to have very valuable resources and information on processes that are unique to our team. So this is a great space for that. We also had professional development offerings that are developed and facilitated by our Center for Instruction and Research Technology at UNF, and those were previously scattered. Could be available in different locations in Blackboard, our previous LMS, or it could be located on our website. But Canvas is such a great tool that we were able to identify the need that we needed to centralize those offerings in a nice, neat one-stop shop for faculty. All right, so again, why did we choose Canvas? Similar to what I was explaining, it's an incredibly user-friendly tool. It's something that as a new hire a year ago, I was able to hop right into. Not only was I able to easily approach and consume the content in our ID Team Sandbox, but I'm also able to edit and revise it and even add to it as needed. So it's an incredibly user-friendly tool that we embraced as a team and that our university is embracing as a whole institution. Now, there are a couple challenges along the way that we had to tackle. Certainly, conceptualizing what a non-traditional Canvas course looks like can be a bit tricky. At our campus, we offer course templates, which is great if you're creating a traditional DL or hybrid course. But when it comes to very unique and individually built areas for us to use, like our ID Team Sandbox and our teaching online faculty development portal, we needed to make sure that these courses were functional, but they also fit our needs as well as our faculty's needs. Another challenge we encountered was tracking the enrollments. We wanted to make sure the right people were in there and had access to the content, which is quite simple with the ID Team Sandbox because, as is in the title, you want the ID team in there. But when it comes to the faculty development portal, in order to have access to the portal as a faculty member, you must have completed successfully our foundational course. And Allison will give a little bit more detail on that foundational course in a few minutes. But the idea is to make sure that people who can utilize this information are added in there and they have it at an easy one-stop shop. Lastly, a challenge we faced was how to add, organize, maintain, and update the content. And as Rozy and Allison will show you with our course demos, you'll see how we can easily do that within Canvas.
Okay, so I'm actually going to take you into our Instructional Design Sandbox and show you how we use it, the things that we keep in there. We have created a self-enroll course that will be open for the next 14 days. So if you guys want to go into our sandbox and look at the items that we keep in there, that will be available to you for the next 14 days. So if you want to write that down or take a picture, go ahead and do that now. Okay, I'm going to exit out of this and go into Canvas. Oh, sorry. Okay. I'll wait like 20 more seconds. It's not working? Okay. We will work on that. But let me go ahead and take you into the sandbox so you can see. Okay. All right. So here is our ID Team Sandbox, and this is our home landing page. So just start here. So if you're a new instructional designer at UNF, where do you start? Where do you begin? Well, you're put into the sandbox, and you're pretty much told to go through the whole entire thing, read everything, and become very familiar with what's in there. So for the start here, we have our policies, which is pretty much just history of being an instructional designer, where we started at UNF as instructional designers, and how far we've gone and where we are now. There's our work schedules are in there, how to report time, how to report absences, kind of that HR kind of stuff is in there. So if you're a new instructional designer, it's very important information. Go back. And then getting started. So this is just a list. If you're coming in as a new instructional designer, what things do you need to do? Well, you need to get an ID card. You need to have access to our drives. You need to get a computer. You need to have access to the printer. Who do you need to talk to? Where do you need to go to find out all of this information? It's listed right here. There's information about conferences. So if you decide that you want to go to InstructureCon, what do you do? What forms do you need to fill out? All of that information is here as well. And I'm probably not going to go through every single one. I'll just kind of talk about it because it's kind of lengthy. And then, of course, there's information about different trainings that we have at UNF and how to enroll in those different trainings. If we look at our ID team, and this is actually just pulling up the modules, we have the work schedule, so it's a listing of all of our work schedules. Sometimes we work at home, so we can find out who's going to be there, who's locking and unlocking the door. The work schedule is listed there. So if you're an instructional designer, you can go in, you can see, okay, well, who's working at home on Wednesday, who's going to unlock the door. So that's there for everyone to see. And then our ID team, if I look at, I'll go to Jamie, she's not here. This is like a portfolio for instructional designers. So we have all of the newsletter articles that Jamie has published in our CERT newsletter. We have conferences that she's attended. We have presentations that she's given at conferences, different trainings that she's taken, and the certificates that she's received. So it's a place where we can put all of our professional development there and keep a record of it. So anyone can go in, they can see, okay, Jamie went to InstructureCon last year. She went to the CanvasCon in Tampa, and she presented. There's her presentation. It's a great place to, a repository to keep all of that information. Okay. And then course development. So we have information about how we develop courses at UNF. We have 5 phases that we use to kind of keep track of where we are in our course development. And we also use these phases for reporting where we are. Megan talked about the Google Docs that we use. We use a lot of Google Docs to keep track of where we are in the instructional design process. And we will say, okay, we're in phase 2. We are waiting for the instructor to send us their content. So that way we can go in and we can see where we're at. Our supervisor can go in. If we have a meeting about where we're at in course development, they can see, okay, we're waiting for the instructor. We need to go in. We haven't heard from anybody maybe in 3 weeks. Where are they? Get that process moving. There's also information about reporting. So where does this information, where does it need to go? There's like an easier way to. We have information about how to build a relationship, beneficial relationship with faculty. There has been some newsletter articles that we've written about that, how to build that relationship. There's emails that you can send out. So if you are assigned to work with a faculty, an initial email. So you can look up, you can go in here, there's that initial email, you pull it up, you can send it out to the faculty and start building that relationship with them. So this is just, how do you build that relationship? And if you're a new instructional designer, this is great for you to kind of come in and see all of this stuff because you're thinking, well, how do I start? Where do I start? And so there's, the emails are there, a timeline for the instructional design process is there, so that can be edited. So you can kind of get an idea of the things that need to be done. Because building a course, there's a lot of things that need to be done from the inception of the course all the way through going through and evaluating it at the end. So we can keep track of all of that there. There's information about our course templates. We actually now have 5 templates that we have built that faculty have access to. So those are listed there. We have some information, I'm not going to go into all the pages, but we have some information about how to make our courses accessible. There's a checklist that we can use to go through and make sure that we have gone through and looked at all the fonts and make sure there's no red, make sure all the videos have captioning. So there's a checklist that we can use for that. Information about working with academic coaches. So oftentimes we'll meet with faculty and we'll create a plan for them to work with their academic coach. So how can you best utilize your academic coach so that you can get the most out of them and have them really help in their course. There's information about QM. We do use QM at UNF. So how do you go about getting a QM review? Information about that is listed there. This is a listing of all the programs that were currently or have in the past been transitioned to DL from UNF. So I'll go ahead into ASL. I develop courses for the ASL program. So we have information about the intake meeting, the PDF from the intake meeting, the agenda items from the meeting, the intake form, the presentation. When we go to a faculty meeting or a meeting to start a program transition, we always create a PowerPoint to kind of talk about what our role is as an instructional designer, the things that we're going to offer to the faculty as we're working to put that degree program online. So all of that is there. And you can see I need to add some more stuff to it. I'm a little bit behind on that. There are how to request course media. So if you're working in a course and you need to request a banner or a video, a faculty video. You can look at how do you do that? What do you do? What forms need to be filled out? We have a Google Doc that we keep track of all of these items, and so there's information about that there as well. The big one is every week we meet, our instructional design team meets, and we have our team meetings. So this goes all the way back to the spring of 2016 when we first adopted Canvas, and this is every week we can go in and we can add agenda items to the agenda. So if there's something that we want to talk about, let's see, we've already started adding some meetings for fall. We can see that at our last meeting, which was on July 19th, Megan actually added 3 items to the meeting. And this is a place where you can come in if you want to talk about something, if you have an idea that you want to bring to the team, if you have a training that maybe you went to and you want to share that information that you received from the training. We have information, like Megan was kind of spearheading how we do captioning at UNF. So she went in and she put her documentation in there so we could see, okay, if we need to go back, how are we going to do the captioning? There's instructions for that. So this is a really great way that we use it, that we can kind of bring things to the table in our weekly meetings. And it goes back. So if you think, okay, well, I remember on June 21st that we talked about, we talked about the TOFD portal, and I remember we said something about that. I want to go back and I want to look at what we talked about. It's right there. It's a repository for all of our meetings, which is it's very helpful for us to have it organized in that way. We have some information about Canvas. When we moved from Blackboard to Canvas, there was, Canvas doesn't have a journal tool, they don't have a blog tool, so we had to kind of come up with some workarounds for that. So there's some solutions and different procedures that we came up with for, how to, what tools are you going to use in Canvas for creating a journal. So we used the ePortfolio. So we came up with different solutions for that. So there's information about Canvas. So pretty much, this course is being used as a repository for all things being an instructional designer at UNF. I'll show you that we like to do, we have all of the walls in our instructional design suite we can draw and write on them. So we often will map out different things we're working on, and then we take pictures of that. And these pictures, they're messy, but we can go back and we can look, okay, we were working on I think this might be the TOFD portal or something like that. We can go back and we can look at it and say, all right, what was that? What were we working on? What was the process? What were we thinking? So we keep a record of all of those mind maps as well. Okay, I think I'm going to let you go and talk about okay, so that's how we use our Instructional Design Sandbox. And now Allison is going to talk about the TOFD portal in our faculty development.
Okay. All right, so we obviously use Canvas for courses, and then also the ID Team Sandbox. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the faculty development portal that we just created recently, and we actually just opened it up to faculty, I think a week ago, so there's still a lot to be determined on whether it's adopted widely or we haven't gotten feedback from faculty yet, just preliminary feedback from our members within our department. But I thought I'd start by giving you a little bit of background on our professional development model, just so you know where I'm coming from when I point out some different things in the portal that we use in Canvas. So it's kind of a 4-tier system, if you think of it that way. And then we have some other one-off events or workshops that we host as well. But this is all of our online teaching online faculty development. So the first thing that we have is a foundations course, and there are actually 2 different tracks, depending on if you're a part-time adjunct or if you're full-time faculty. And this course is to get you prepared to either facilitate or develop a hybrid or online course. The only difference is they're very similar. The full-time course is a little bit more robust. It's an 8-week-long course. And the part-time is like if you just got hired on as an adjunct and you need to teach like the upcoming semester, it's the bare bones what you need to know about teaching online or teaching a hybrid course. Once you get through that, you get a certificate of completion, and then you are rolled into this portal that I'm going to show you next. And within the portal, we host the next 3 tiers. One of the main things that we just developed recently are mastery modules, and these are self-enrolled, self-paced modules about areas, hot topics that faculty have wanted to know more about or go more in depth about. They were maybe touched on in the foundations course, but they want to dive deeper and learn more about, for example, gamification or analytics or open educational resources. And so we have a mastery module for all of those. I think we have like 8 to 10 created right now, and we're willing to keep developing those on a need basis. Another thing that we host in the portal, the 3rd tier of faculty development, if you want to go even further, is this course development and quality certification. So the 3rd tier is getting paired with an instructional designer. You're having one certain course in mind that you want to develop fully online, and you want it to go through and be QM reviewed and pass a QM internal review. So that's our 3rd tier. And then our final tier is for faculty who make it past that. They have a QM review under their belts, and they want to go for a national certification. For example, an OLC national certification, and then maybe later on go through some sort of quality matters training to become a reviewer themselves. So those are the basic 4 tiers, and all of that information was kind of like Megan said earlier. It was on the website on different pages. Some of it was in Canvas. Some of it was before that in Blackboard. So now we've centralized that, and we have one location, one portal, we're calling it, for faculty to go and have all of their professional development needs met, hopefully. So I'll take you in there. All right, so here's the home page. And then we use the design tools accordion to break down the 4 tiers that I just described. So the first tier, the foundations course, is actually a course in Canvas, and this is just a link to that course. So to be in this portal, they've already taken the course, but we want to give them access to past iterations of the course, because maybe they want to go back and look at an assignment they've created. A lot of the stuff they do in the foundations course is stuff that they can actually use when they're going to go and build their online course. So we have something called a chunking plan, where they lay out one module's objectives, assessments, activities, alignment statements, purpose statements. And so maybe they've created this document, their computer crashed, but they want to go back and find this document that they created while they were in the foundations course. They can come to the portal and go back and look at that, or any resources that they remember they read through while they were in the course, any content, they can go back and have access to that. Then the second tier, this is the bulk of what is in this portal, I would say, are the mastery modules. We've all worked really hard on creating these, and so we built it, and we're hoping they come. Like I said, we just recently enrolled everybody that had created a foundation, or that had completed the foundations course in the past. And so we decided not to lock it down. We went back and forth about do we want them to have to register, and then we lock it down to where they submit a registration, and then the module opens. But we decided to totally open it up starting off, and then based off of what we see data-wise and feedback-wise, we might change that in the future. But basically, they can go click through any of these modules, and they can start reading through the content and submitting assignments. And we're in there facilitating and giving feedback and posting to discussions as well. So I'll take you into one of the ones that I created. So there's a couple of different ways. They can click on the link there. They can click on the modules button on the navigation menu, and then also we've created another button here. All of these modules follow the same outline. So there's an overview page, and even within the overview page, it's completely very consistent. So what you find in one mastery module, you'll find in another mastery module. We've got a banner, we've got some objectives, information about the instructor, and then the agenda. So all of them are in parts. This one's a 3-part, but they're all estimated to take about 10 hours or 2 weeks worth of content and work. And then we have the assignments for this particular one, what technology you'll need to complete the module, and then some strategies for success. Beyond that, the last thing in all of the modules, we obviously really want to get their feedback. So before they can apply for that certificate of completion, once they've submitted all of their assignments for that mastery module, they're going to do an exit survey, and that will give us feedback to know whether or not we need to make changes. Another thing that we have in the development portal is the advanced certifications. So beyond the foundations course, beyond the second tier, which is the mastery modules, I talked earlier about the course development course. And that's the one where you get paired with an instructional designer, and the goal is to pass a QM review. So this is also a module. It used to be a course, and we found that we could do the same functionality, including it as a module within this portal. Keep it more centralized. And then the last thing is links to information about how to get involved with national certification, for example, through OLC. Another thing this portal has is a community of practice, and we use the discussion boards to host the community of practice. Like I said, we just opened this up last week, so I wish I could show you lots of action going on, but I think we're going to have to try to foster some action on these boards. So for example, in my mastery module, I included that they post to the community of practice just to get them oriented with it. But this is where faculty can come and discuss things, share resources, give each other feedback. Another thing that we include in the portal are additional resources. So, sorry if you were taking a picture. I caught someone taking a picture and I changed the slide, but like I said, hopefully we'll have this opened up to you by the end of the presentation. We have a module of additional resources on certain topics like accessibility, course design. We have information based upon discipline, so maybe by the college. Instructional media tools, that's a hot topic, and social media as well. Another functionality that Canvas allows us to use that's very valuable for something like this is the announcements. So everybody that's in the foundations course that has passed the foundations course is automatically enrolled in this course, and they'll be receiving the announcements that we send out. So for example, if we have a special professional development opportunity coming up, we can send out an announcement, and we know that we don't have to email all faculty. We can email the faculty that have already shown interest in online learning. A side note is you are able to request to be removed from the course, so you're not forever stuck in there. If somebody really hated the portal and wanted to get out of it, they just have to email the assistant director and they can be removed from the course. Finally, we have on the home page a button that links to help and frequently asked questions about the portal. And then the very last thing is we have in the modules an unpublished section that's the administrator's corner. So just for the instructional designers, and we've actually pulled staff from the library and other people on our team like Justin to create these mastery modules. So we want to facilitate in the same way. So if somebody has said that they'll give feedback on an assignment within 48 hours, we want that to be consistent across the modules, so that if somebody's enrolled in one module and they receive their feedback within 48 hours and then they go to another module, they don't have to wait. They might still be expecting to receive feedback within 48 hours. So we've kind of hashed out a facilitation plan on how to run the mastery modules, and that information is kept here, as well as the tracking sheet where once a faculty member submits an assignment, we go in, if it's in our mastery module, and we note that they are currently working on that module. And then once they complete it, this is kind of a next steps thing that hasn't been implemented yet, but we're going to work on badging. And I think Megan's going to talk more about our other next steps, but here we're going to just use a simple Canvas page and with a table, and then we had our graphic designer come up with some badge icons. And maybe one day we'll publish this to our website if faculty permit and get a little friendly competition in there as far as the badging goes. But that's it for our portal. I think we're going to take questions at the very end, so we've got a couple more slides here.
You guys still with us? We good? Cool. We're almost done, I promise. So we were, the next steps, collecting data and feedback. Canvas gives some pretty cool page statistics so we can see where faculty are going, what we can make better. Again, she talked a little bit about the survey that the faculty take after they go through the modules. So we're going to take all that, make it better, right? Some incentives. So as you saw, our board right now, it's only a week old right now, but there was no one in there. So how are we going to get people in there, right? Badges, that's probably not going to do it, but it might, right? I've never met someone that's really excited about badges, but I think funding really does get people excited. So if the faculty member gets a stipend maybe for taking a course, then they're going to do it. They're going to come and it's going to happen. I do several trainings at the University of North Florida, and the ones that have the funding incentives, they come to, right? And then faculty recognition events. We've done that in the past. Sometimes we'll have a cohort of faculty members complete a course, and we'll host like a little lunch for all of them to attend, and they like it. So those are some of the next things that we want to do with the faculty development module. I think we have about 10 minutes left for questions. I do want to say, while we were working up here, we were trying to get you guys access to those 2 courses, but unfortunately our single sign-on just isn't allowing it. It is too locked down, I guess you could say. So if you are interested and you want to see either of those courses, feel free to email any of us up there, and we will pop that to you. Yeah, we'll figure out a way 100% to get that to you. But do we have any questions? I know we were told if you do have questions, you got to say it in this mic because it's being recorded.
Any questions? All right.
I have a question about the Instructional Design Sandbox. You mentioned briefly that it's a way for you to update sort of where the status of each project was. Can you show how you do that?
Okay. Oh, maybe I should use this mic over here so we don't get some feedback. Hold on a second. Okay, so the course development phases, the 5 phases, we track those. So it kind of depends on if it's like a one-off course or if we're working with faculty on developing a course. In that 3rd tier, I talked about the course development and the quality matters. And so here's our tracking. And it's not pretty, but it works. So we use Google Sheets, and you'll notice, so for example, say somebody goes on maternity leave and I take over their course development. That's also helpful to keep the tracking, because then I know where they left off, and also there's some notes as well. But over here, so some people use notes, and then sometimes the tracking is more widely adopted. Maybe I think it's for the programmatic courses that we use it as well. But for example, here you'll see P2, P2, and so that's where we would use it.
P2 would be we're waiting for the faculty to send us contact. We made that initial meeting with them. We've put a template into their course, and then we're waiting for them to send us content so we can start working on building the course out.
That's like 40% of our job, right? Waiting for content. Do we have any other questions? Yeah.
You guys are calling this a sandbox, but it's actually inside of your regular instance. It's not like a outside test environment, correct?
So testing can be done in there. We as an instructional designer, I have like a host of sandboxes on my own. I guess it depends on your term of a sandbox. And then faculty, they each automatically have 3 sandbox courses, and they can request more sandbox courses. This was called the sandbox before I became part of the team. But I think it just means an area where we work and it's not published to faculty. This is just internal for our team, and we can mess around in here and test out stuff and the quizzes and pages and things like that as well.
Under a sub-account? Did you guys create a sub-account or something that's kind of making it visible to the faculty?
I think we just didn't actually put anyone else in the course. So we didn't even have to do a sub account for that. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the exit surveys that you utilize at the end of the modules?
Yes.
Let's talk more about that. Thank you for bringing it up.
Okay, so we use this also in the foundation course, and I'll go ahead and pop into one for you. So we use the Likert, and then we also use free response. And okay, so we have a plan. We're using the Canvas survey type of quiz to get initial feedback over the first 6 months, because we've just rolled this out, asking a lot about navigation and organization, also about content for the instructor of that course. So, for example, for the module that I created about learning analytics, I ask about not only the navigation, but also the learning objectives, the time estimation that I said, was that accurate for how much time you actually spent? Did I provide timely, sufficient feedback on the assessments? Then I actually have broken it down to ask about each of the assessments that I created. And then some free response questions there. And then, Megan, do you want to talk about, like, after the 6 months is over, okay.
Yeah, so just to add on just a tiny bit, these are our questions that we're starting with, right? So as Allison said, we just rolled this out. So we do still need to know about those things that many of us consider the bare bones, the basics. We want to know how is it coming to one centralized location to get into a course like a mastery module? Is it too confusing? Is there too much content involved? So we do want to know about the ease of use and navigation.
We have that survey here.
Yep, we also have a generalized feedback survey, as Allison has pointed out, for the TOFD portal. And then we really use this opportunity and the survey feature of quizzes and Canvas to really hone in on the elements of our mastery modules. As Allison pointed out, there are 4 different types of assignments in her mastery module, and she wants to know, how useful is this? You know, as a faculty member, you may have loved assignment 1, but 2 you felt was a waste of your time, and we need to know that. We want to be able to have these mastery modules targeted to faculty who are interested in learning more, in producing more of this specialty content for their courses, and we want to make sure that we're giving them 10 valuable hours of resources and practice. So that's where our surveys are right now. At the end of our 6-month kind of pilot period, if you will, at the end of our 6 months, we're going to create a generalized survey to include at the end of each of the modules to, again, assess feedback and ask the faculty about their perceptions, insights, and experiences in our modules. That we will do with a tool that our university uses called Qualtrics, but that will be something where we're able to see that data and that feedback and use that as we evaluate and improve along the way.
So it is 5:40 right now, so we're going to go ahead and end the session. I appreciate you guys coming out. If you have any other questions, feel free to come up here. We're going to chill out here for, like, as long as we can.